recording this is 6/13/21. The time is 2:51 a.m. in the morning, but this experience that I'm about to share with you occurred at 1:13 a.m. in the morning. Well, it's been a while, and this is how it goes with these experiences with me, but as always, when I have an experience, I come out and record this, and then I share it with you. So this experience was, I think, a bit different than my other beyond body experiences. Just real briefly, and I kind of like to go over this from time to time when I create videos on the beyond body. The beyond body is different than astral projection, and the difference is that when I feel it coming on, there is no separation. So the process is me simply feeling a sense of motion, as if I am literally hurling through space or moving through space. And the speeds, they vary. Sometimes it's a slower speed, and other times it is an acceleration at a pace that is just beyond my comprehension. So that is the difference between the beyond body and astral projection. The other thing is that where I end up, it appears to be or seems to be a physical reality. I can actually feel things. I can touch things. My hands, my body doesn't necessarily go through solid objects. It's as if I have a physical presence in these places that I visit. So that's the difference. But so in this particular experience, I had been lying down. It was fairly late. I probably somewhere past midnight, and I was just relaxing. I had on some sort of talk in the background. Sometimes I just like to listen to something that's entertaining, almost like a podcast or something. And so with that said, that's normally something that I don't use to have an experience. Normally I'll have on storm sounds. And so I've talked to you guys before about me having on like talk in the background and still being able to accomplish this, still being able to have an experience. And it's something that always still is a very strange thing, really, really strange. But so I'm lying down and I'm listening to, this thing I'm listening to, this talk on my iPad, and at some point I start to feel the motion. Now, guys, I could have sworn to you, I can't say this 100% for sure, but I could have sworn that I started feeling that motion with my eyes still open. This was pretty crazy. I could feel it, and it may have been that I was just feeling really tired, and the motion started kicking in as my eyes were open, and I naturally shut my eyes. Now, if you're asking what would have happened if I would have kept my eyes open the whole time, what would it have looked like? I have no idea. No idea at all. But so I naturally shut my eyes, and the motion continued. But the motion did not continue for very long. There was a sense of acceleration, and then I slowed down, and slowly the darkness lifted and the scene revealed itself. I was in my apartment still. Another version of my apartment. Now, I've talked about this before, and this feeling honestly never leaves me, because I'm looking around and my apartment looks exactly the same as it looks in this reality, in this 3D reality. There's no differences. At first, there weren't any differences. Then, as I looked around, I kind of saw a couch that I did not recognize. Honestly, guys, I honestly don't have a couch in my apartment. Just letting you know, I do not. And I saw a beige couch that was very wide. And I thought to myself, okay, now I know that, I don't think that someone just suddenly moved a beige couch into my apartment. So this must be another version of my apartment. Then I walked out onto the patio. Now, I live on the first floor, and when I walked out onto the patio of this version of my apartment, I was elevated. I think I was either on the second or third floor. My best guess would be the second floor. And I looked out. There was grass, and it was very thick. And there were these lights that had poles, and on the light, it was a big, huge bulb on each of the poles that I saw. Something that is not in my building. We have lights, but not like the ones that I saw. It was different, similar. Something that is just, I don't know, I'm not going to say it drives me crazy, but it's just strange to see something that feels so familiar, but is different versions of things that are just slightly off. It is just a very interesting sensation, a very interesting feeling. Now, the first thing I saw was two younger men, or at least I perceived them to be two younger men walking in the grass. Both had darker hair, and we had a very brief exchange. It was something along the lines of, when they looked up and they saw me, I believe one of the men said, "Hi, how are you?" I said, "Oh, I'm okay, I'm fine." And then I said something like, "How are you?" And this younger man, one of the younger men, said, "Oh, I'm just, out for a walk with my son." And I was like, "With your son?" That this person didn't look. It was the first thought that I had, and one of the things that I thought I knew I was gonna carry this back with me. They didn't look like they had much of a difference in age with each other. Really, maybe a few years? I don't recall, but I remember thinking to myself, how can that be his son? So this was a very brief exchange, and then they moved on. Now, there may have been more of a conversation between us, and this was something that was bugging me a little bit when I opened my eyes, but this is what I can remember. I remember the fact that I kept thinking that whoever the other person was, the person that this young man said was his son, did not look like his son. So that was the first thing. Then I noticed, as I was standing on my patio, that there were two people standing on another patio that was next to mine. I think, well, let me tell you first, there was an older woman. She had gray hair, really kind of older, looked like she could have been in her 70s, perhaps 80s. She may have been cleaning on the patio or cleaning up in that area. And then there was a very, very young girl. She could have been maybe 5 or 6 years old, blondish hair, maybe greenish or blue eyes. I don't recall, but she was just kind of doing what kids that age do, kind of running around and whatever. And so when I saw them, I thought to myself, well, this might be an opportunity for me to kind of find out what world this was or where I was. And by the way, I don't know why I didn't ask the young man. I don't know. It just seemed to me that these people on the other side in this other patio, my neighbors in this reality, I figured that they would talk to me about this. Don't know why, but so I looked at the older lady and I tried to get her attention, but for some reason, she didn't seem to respond to me. So then I kind of, I squatted down. So I was at the level of the little girl, and I said, "Excuse me." I said, "What world is this?" Thinking that she would just say, "Oh, what the world is." I don't know. I had no idea, but I thought this little kid might just come right out and tell me what place this is. And she looked up at me and she answered me, but when she opened her mouth, nothing came out. So I didn't hear anything. It was the strangest thing. If you can think of a movie, you know, the old karate movies used to do this, where people would open their mouth and you wouldn't hear anything because the sound was, the sync between the sound and the film was off. But that's what it felt like. It felt like when she opened her mouth, she did say something, but I couldn't hear a word that came out. Then, being the persistent person that I am, because I wanted to find out, I really, it made me think, okay, I really want to know, what world is this? Very curious. So I asked her again. I said, "What world is this?" She then said, and as you guys know, my experiences, they get so strange. Sometimes I sit and I think to myself, how can I be actually putting this out there? But I know I am. And I'm just going to say, when I said it again, she said the word Nong, N-O-N-G. No, yeah. N-O-N-G, Nong, Nong. She said that 2 or 3 times with spaces between it. She said Nong, Nong. And I was like, what? I had no idea what she was saying, but because of my previous experiences in places like this, I thought to myself, there must not be a word in our language or any language in this world that would be able to communicate the name of this world. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. I'm not sure. That's what my theory is. That's what my guess is at this point, that there wasn't a word that would have transferred over or could have been translated into something that I would understand. So that's what I heard. Nong, Nong. I don't know. I don't know if that's the name of the world. I have no idea. But after that, I stepped back and, well, in this world, I guess, and this was so funny because this was instinctive. As I've talked about this before in my experiences, there are certain worlds where flight is possible because what I believe is in the beyond body, these are physical realities. These are alternate realities that are physical realities with their own laws. Like we have the laws of, gravity, things like that. They have their own specific laws. Now, I must have known this instinctively. I stepped back, I looked up into the sky, and I jumped off the patio, and I was thinking to myself, well, I hope I'm right about this, because if I fall, I don't know what's going to happen. Well, I flew right into the air and kept going. I did a sort of a turn, and I think the little girl was watching me, and I think the older lady may have been watching me as well. I took off. And as I was flying, I thought to myself, I want to be back. And suddenly, I opened my eyes here in the 3D world, and I was back. A very interesting and, as always, strange experience. Thank you so much for coming on another journey with me. And until next time, take care.